dignitaries, as well as some of the recipients, as this award show is going to be one for the history books, as they always are. To give a bit of context, though, we may be celebrating our 55th annual award show while we are only celebrating 48 days of republic, or years rather, as a republic. And that has to do with the fact that we would have become an independent nation first, doing away with what was the Commonwealth Awards, so that we only got our very own national awards quite a while after. We will be today seeing honors in a number of realms across culture, community, education, and other spheres. But keeping in mind that there have been a number of changes to the award ceremony this afternoon, we will give you a little bit of a history lesson before we head on inside to see the actual distribution of awards. Now, of course, because we are a multinational and culturally diverse Trinbago, what you're seeing on your screens right now is part of the welcome. So we will say a special good afternoon and thank you to, of course, the Chinese Society and the actual performers representing our societies across different spheres. We would have heard the drumming of the Fatima College boys, who rightfully earned the title at Sandfest 2023. And there are many more performers to take various parts of the presentation this afternoon, whether it be the actual stage or to welcome our many guests. Now, keeping in mind that this National Awards will see invitees including, of course, the Prime Minister, Chief Justice and members of Parliament. We will have senators and members of the Diplomatic Corps, as well as the opposition and other senior government officials. This year, the 55th Annual National Awards will see 9 categories and a whopping 65 awardees receiving medals today. Now, the process itself is an interesting one that requires a full-on committee where we have, of course, the Chief Justice overseeing the nomination process and investigating the nominees before making recommendations to the Prime Minister. As we speak, we see the entrance of Minister of Health and our Minister of National Security, as well as Minister in Housing, if I am not mistaken, so that these persons will be making their way in to be seated, while recipients of the awards, some 65, will actually take a separate entrance. Now, in terms of the selection process, anyone can be nominated for a national award. Of course, there is some investigation on the part of the committee to determine whether or not they will receive it. And then, of course, the president confers these awards here at the President's House. Interestingly, we know that the highest award in the nation used to be known as the Trinity Cross. But as we are seeing by representation from the multicultural groups and ethnic groups present here today, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago became more fitted, so that in 2008, this became the title for the highest order in the nation. As such, there will be 3 recipients of the ORTT today. The published full list is readily available across media houses in Trinidad and Tobago, but I will from time to time give you some insight as to some of these recipients, because these persons have now become members of the Distinguished Society. There will be some posthumous awardees as well. Those persons, of course, not becoming part of the society, but all the same distinguished and honored. You will be seeing a bit of the meet and greet that takes place indoors while we continue to await the arrival of more of the specially invited guests here at the President's House. But it is a humid Republic Day afternoon, and we are glad for the beautiful sunsets and evening sun as we get ready to honor some of the more pivotal or significant persons throughout our society. Now, as previously mentioned, we are seeing 65 awardees across 9 categories, 3 of whom are receiving the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. There will be recipients of the Chaconia Medal for gold and silver, the Hummingbird Medal, gold and silver, the Public Service Medal of Merit for gold and silver, and the Medal of Development for women in gold and bronze as well. To give a little insight as to what each of these actual awards represent, as you know, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is the highest award that any person in the country can receive. It can be, or rather, it may be awarded posthumously, but a deceased recipient does not become a member of the society. It shall be awarded only in gold. The maximum number of awardees usually is 5, and this year we will be seeing 3 recipients. Next, we have the Chaconia Medal, which will be awarded to any person, a citizen as well as a non-citizen, who has performed long and meritorious service in Trinidad and Tobago. That tends to promote the national welfare or strengthening of the community spirit. You will find that you will have a number of familiar faces and names in terms of recipients of these particular medals, and again, can be awarded posthumously, but deceased recipients do not become members of the society. We will have gold, silver, and bronze in accordance with the associated value of the service rendered. Now, granted that in some categories you may not have a bronze recipient, it simply has to do with the terms of service rendered. Continuing on with our national medals, you will also have the Public Service Medal of Merit. Again, another list of recipients where we may be quite familiar with them, but this is awarded to persons who are citizens and given so for their outstanding and meritorious service in public service. The defense and protective services or service within statutory bodies performing national functions also are recipients of this particular medal, and it may be, again, awarded posthumously with deceased persons not becoming a member of the society. This again has gold, silver, and bronze, depending on the length of merit for the services rendered. And we will continue to bring you sights and sounds as more of our distinguished lists of guests enter. I am trying my very best to see and make out the faces. But again, we will have members of the diplomatic corps, senators, of course, the Prime Minister himself is expected to attend, as well as members of the opposition, so that tonight will be a packed house. Now, in terms of number of recipients, we have mentioned the 9 categories, but interestingly, the category with the most amount of awardees this year for the 2024 National Awards is actually that of the Hummingbird Medal Gold, with a whopping 18 recipients. Now, considering that the Hummingbird Gold Medal is given to those who are either citizens or non-citizens, rendering loyal and devoted service beneficial to TNT in the field of human endeavor or gallantry or humane action, it gives us a sense of our society truly honoring persons who render their hearts to the nation. Gallantry and good service, good deeds do not go unnoticed. And as we speak, we will continuously see persons who deliver incredible service to us as a nation, as our specially invited guests continue their arrival here at the President's House. We will continuously give you insight into the room, as there will be a lot of meeting and greeting this afternoon, but we will continue to make sure that this auspicious occasion is streamed live here on TTT. Remember that we will continue with our NLCB draw immediately after the ceremony. So we will see some familiar faces, familiar names, and make sure that you have a good insight into this ceremony. Now, the published list of the 65 awardees for this year's ceremony can be viewed online, but we will make sure and give you some insight into some of the actual recipients. Familiar faces, again, across culture and the arts as well. So we will be continuing with culture and the arts as well, as we have the presence of quite a number of performers, some of whom have been here quite early in terms of setup and preparation. But we are making certain that we give you full view of this evening's proceeding. course, we are also seeing more recipients, rather not recipients, but and as we can see, inside is almost at maximum capacity. We perhaps are just awaiting the arrival of a few more of the 65 recipients that will receive awards at the 55th edition of the National Awards. We are seeing many ministers taking the time to have small chats and perhaps even have conversations with past recipients or past awardees, as well as the awaiting cohort. Now, I was giving you guys a bit of the numbers, since we are seeing the Hummingbird Medal Gold having 18 recipients this year. It would mean that a number of persons are being honored for their gallantry and service to us as a society altogether, while the next largest number would be Hummingbird Medal Silver. In a society where we often talk of how poorly the morale is, it is beautiful to see some of these recipients, including Karen Bedesi, the CEO of FCP, Pantrimbago President, some of the faces that we can make out from the awaiting recipients, the 65 recipients of this year's National Awards. Keeping in mind, you will also see amongst them representatives for some members of family, as there will be at least 3 posthumous awards being distributed, and we will also be seeing in terms of the distribution to both nationals and citizens and non-citizens of from the Trinidad and Tobago public, as anyone can be nominated. Hopefully this inspires you to look amongst yourselves or even within to perhaps look at lending your service to your nation, as we are honoring those who have done exactly that on this Republic Day. So we are live at the President's House, making certain that you have exclusive visuals of the President's Awards 2024. And we will actually, and we are actually going to have to make sure, here we have the AG, along with, of course, many other distinguished guests in our presence rather, as we are continuing to give you live coverage here at the President's House. We are anticipating that Her Excellency will actually join us at 5:59 p.m., while other members of the Diplomatic Corps take the opportunity to engage with each other, perhaps discussing what has been quite the year. Of course, ministers are taking the opportunity in the background to mix again and reacquaint themselves. But we, on the outskirts, are welcoming our distinguished guests with members of the Chinese Society and Cultural Arts Association putting on a welcome display of great grandeur. We await the arrival. And as we continue to have more of our distinguished guests enter tonight, we are at the 55th Annual National Awards, where some 65 recipients will be awarded across 9 categories. Now, as I was telling you before, gallantry and humanitarian endeavors, rather, seem to be the highest of the awards, with a whopping 18 recipients of the gold and 15 recipients of the silver, keeping in mind that gold, silver and bronze are awarded depending on the length of merit, if you will. This overseen by a committee that has investigated the endeavors of the nominees, all of whom can be from a multitude of walks of lives, including you and I. So as the pigeons make their way, the parrots make their way, rather, across the skies this afternoon, we are awaiting the arrival of a few more guests, as things will begin at roughly 7 p.m. this afternoon. Rather, 6 p.m. this afternoon, as Her Excellency will make her entrance at 5:59, not a moment later. So we will continue to bring you some of the sights and sounds, including these photo ops of members of Parliament and ministers currently serving, so that they can actually give you some visuals from the comfort of your home. So for the most part, members of the Diplomatic Corps and members of Parliament are seated and will continue to give you insights as even more of our guests arrive. This being the 55th Annual National Awards, it is Republic Day, the perfect way to observe such an occasion. Now, this afternoon, we will also be making sure that you are getting the insight on all of these recipients, as we have officially published the entire list of all 65 of them. Interestingly, the bios of some of the recipients will be read by students from schools across Trinidad and Tobago. This afternoon, we will have the delight of chatting with at least 2 of those students to give some insight on the preparation. Before this evening's happenings, we know that they were asked to do another test run of the reading of bios, so that not only do we have younger generations being involved in this occasion, but giving them context and the value of what each person represents and what made them worthy of these incredible awards. We still have some more guests arriving, and we will continue to see them flow in slowly for what is an occasion that few will miss. Unfortunately, there are 3 recipients who could not be physically present today, and as mentioned earlier, there will be some awardees who will also be honored posthumously, so that we will see members of their family representing them tonight. But it does not take away from the fact that the number of recipients is quite significant this year. Usually, for the highest order, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, you may see as many as 5 recipients. This year, we have 3. One of whom is Mr. Mark Loquan, known for his work with, of course, the NGC as former chairman, but also in the realm of film and documentaries. He has devoted his life's work to the world of Pan, giving us incredible stories of another recipient, Duvon Stewart, who really and truly are icons of the instrument in the fitting year that it has become internationally recognized as the only instrument designed, or created rather, in the 21st century, and officially becoming our national instrument, with World Pan Day sealing it off nicely. So it is fitting that we have these 2 recipients who have devoted their life's work to our national instrument being honored this afternoon. I have not actually seen Duvon inside just yet, but we will, from time to time, give you a bit of insight. And in terms of who will actually be present or are present right now, we, of course, would have had number of ministers and, of course, members of the opposition, as well as members of the Diplomatic Corps in our present. So once we do pan in the doors once more, we will double check to see who is in our presence as we await the arrival of a few others. Now, where we are situated, we have the ability to see our specially invited guests enter, while the awardees will be whisked off to our right. So our cameraman will capture those separately. But in terms of who we do have present now, a wide cross-section of the room will show you some significantly familiar faces as we get ready for another performance from the Fatima College Drum Corps here for this, the pre-show of the 55th Awards. Allow me to make the correction of the arrival of Faris Alwari, the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, already in our presence. And with the performance or continued welcoming of our distinguished guests, we again say special thank you to the Fatima College Gold and Blue performers and winners of the Sandfest 2023. So that as they welcome more guests to this, the 55th National Awards, we take a look inside as mere moments are away from the arrival of Her Excellency.
Just Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Honorable, the Chief Justice, Mr. Justice Ivor Archie, ORTT, Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Denise Rodriguez Archie. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Sharon Rowley. Your Excellency Christine Carla Kangaloo, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and Mr. Kerwin Garcia, SC, First Gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. Your Excellency Christine Carla Kangaloo, ORTT President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mr. Kerwin Garcia, SC First Gentleman, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Sharon Rowley, the Honorable the Chief Justice, Mr. Justice Ivor Archie, ORTT Chief Justice of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and Mrs. Denise Rodriguez Archie, Senator the Honorable Nigel De Freitas, President of the Senate, and Mrs. Shana De Freitas, the Honorable Bridget Anisette George, Speaker of the House of Representatives, members of Cabinet, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Justices of Appeal, Judges of the High Court, Dr. Ellis Boris, President of the Interreligious Organization, members of Parliament, awardees, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. My name is Ansel Blaze Isaac Jr., and it is my pleasant duty to welcome you to the 55th National Award Ceremony being held at its traditional home of the President's House. A most special welcome to the 62 persons who today will become members of the Distinguished Society of Trinidad and Tobago when they receive the award with the recognition of a grateful nation. Your life and work have been chosen as exemplary examples of citizenship, and we salute the invaluable contribution you've made to the development of the nation. Before we begin the investiture, I would like to introduce you to 14 young people who will play a key role in this evening's ceremony. In her inaugural speech on the 20th of March 2023, Her Excellency Christine Kangaloo, ORTT, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, expressed her desire to make the President's House and State Protocol more welcoming and accessible to the citizens, and particularly to the young people of our country. To this end, starting last year, Her Excellency has invited Form 6 students from across the country to participate in this year's ceremony by reading the biography of each person as they receive their award. It is now my pleasure to introduce these students. Please wait until all their names are called before applauding. Anish Subit, Swaha Hindu College, Sangre Grande. Ariana Chotkana, Parvati Girls Hindu College, Debe. Avinash Monak, Astra Boys College, Charleville. Denver Dukaran, Waterloo Secondary School, Karipichaima. Elisa Singh, Vesini Secondary, Vesini. Jeremiah Neptune, Irie High School, Siparia. Joshua Penny, St. George's College, Barataria. Caden Guerra, Marabella North Secondary, Marabella. Naomi Felix, Tranquility Secondary, Port of Spain. Raylon Taylor, Signal Hill Secondary, Signal Hill, Tobago. Sajana Bagwat, St. Stephen's College, Princestown. Shiana Charles, St. Augustine Secondary, St. Augustine. Zeta Lyons Walker, Arima Central Secondary, Arima. And Zion Valanilla, St. Anthony's College, Diego Martin. Please give them a round of applause. During the ceremony, we ask that you hold your applause until the biography of the recipient is completed. And I now invite Major Nigel Paris, Edikar, to Her Excellency to commence the investiture.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency the President will now hold an investiture at which will be presented to recipients the insignia of the national awards made by the President on the advice of the Honorable Prime Minister on the occasion representative of the 48th anniversary of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago and the celebration of the 55th anniversary of the National Awards ceremony. The Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago may be awarded for distinguished and outstanding service to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago is awarded to Mr. Mark Loquan, President of the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago, in the sphere of national service, energy, and steel pan innovation.
For over 2 decades, Mr. Mark Loquan has been a highly respected senior leader in the Trinidad and Tobago energy sector and has made huge contributions to the industry through both his direct professional career at Yara, the National Gas Company, and his contribution to wider industry initiatives and developments. Throughout the steel pan and music industry, Mr. Loquan is universally known and loved. His presence is felt globally as an award-winning music composer, songwriter, and documentary filmmaker. Mr. Loquan creates without thought for profit.
Professor Patrick Hussein in the spheres of technology, innovation, and engineering.
Dr. Patrick Hussein's professional excellence is characterized by his transformative contributions to telecommunications engineering, his advocacy for multi-stakeholder collaboration, and his commitment to fostering inclusivity and innovation in the digital landscape. Dr. Hussein's philanthropic contributions are a testament to his unwavering commitment to leveraging technology, particularly in underserved communities. As the administrator of Trinidad and Tobago's country code top-level domain, Dr. Hussein has not only championed but financed the initiatives aimed at bridging the digital divide and empowering individuals to harness the transformative power of the internet.
The Chaconia Medal may be awarded for long and meritorious service tending to promote national welfare or strengthening community spirit in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The Chaconia Medal Gold is today awarded to the following persons: Dr. Anne Marion Osborne, posthumously, former UWI Creative Arts Coordinator in the sphere of music, pianoforte, and steel pan. Her brother, Mr. Peter Osborne, will accept the award.
Dr. Anne Marion Osborne's transformative contribution to music education culminated in the establishment of UWI School of Music in Trinidad and Tobago. This marks a significant milestone. Dr. Osborne spearheaded the creation of a certificate course in music, followed by the development of a Bachelor of Arts degree in musical arts. Dr. Osborne also spearheaded the implementation of graded examinations in solo steel pan performance, establishing in 1995 a structured system of pan education that had never existed before. This program has since expanded through the Caribbean to universities in the UK and the US, utilizing these examinations to assess their students.
Mr. Anon Naipaul, Chairman, Extra Food Supermarket in the sphere of business.
Mr. Anon Naipaul is renowned for his pivotal role as Executive Chairman of Extra Food Supermarkets, one of the country's most respected supermarket chains. Mr. Naipaul's influence is also felt through his dedicated service on numerous business chambers, state boards, and various committees and organizations. Under Mr. Naipaul's stewardship, Extra Food's commitment to beautification projects, such as Monte Cristo Park, underscores its role in fostering community pride and providing environmental sustainability. The company's outreach extends to children's homes and soup kitchens, as well as providing support to flood victims in collaboration with local councils and the police service.
Dr. Christopher Laird, former director in the sphere of the film industry.
Dr. Christopher Laird, a published poet, was initially interested in the literary and theater arts and published Kyrie, a journal of the arts, for 5 years in Trinidad and Tobago. Since 1975, he has been working in television and has written, directed, and/or produced numerous programs for Banyan, including the first Caribbean television series, Who the Cap Fits. In 2003, he founded with Errol Fabian, Gael TV, the region's first all-Caribbean, free-to-air television station. It has since trained over 100 young people for the local industry.
Mr. Eustace Nancis, Managing Director, Arima Door Center Limited, in the spheres of business and community service.
Mr. Eustace Nancis was the mayor of Arima from 2003 to 2005. He is the founder of the Arima Door Center Limited, and he is a successful leader and entrepreneur whose visions often come to life in his organization. Mr. Nancis, as well as being successful in his business, has given his time to community service by lecturing in small business developers and at school workshops. He has been an active contributor to various sporting groups, religious bodies, and other organizations.
Ms. Karen DeBasey, CEO of First Citizens Bank, in the spheres of banking and finance.
Ms. Karen DeBasey is an accomplished senior executive with over 3 decades of experience in the financial services and telecommunication industries. Prior to her appointment at First Citizens in April 2015 as Group Chief Executive Officer, Ms. DeBasey held several senior positions at the Merchants Bank. Ms. DeBasey also serves as a director on several subsidiary boards within the First Citizens Group, the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and United Way Trinidad and Tobago. In 2020, Ms. DeBasey was appointed to assist in the development of the country's plans for recovery from the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mrs. Marilyn Stallmeyer, retired nurse, midwife, and lactation consultant in the spheres of health and education.
Mrs. Marilyn Stallmeyer was founder of the Informative Breastfeeding Service, coordinator of the Serval Betham Life Center, which has an emphasis on childcare, and co-founder of Mama Toto Resource and Birth Center. From 1980 to 1983, Mrs. Stallmeyer volunteered weekly at Serval's Pediatric Clinic for underprivileged children. And from 1983 to 1995, she continued on a part-time basis at the Betham Life Center. At a time when this was not universally accepted or practiced, Mrs. Stallmeyer encouraged a holistic approach to parenthood through the conception, establishment, and delivery of programs aimed at midwives, nurses, doctors, pregnant women, and new parents.
Mr. Mohan Prasad, Director, Prasad's The Food King Supermarkets in the spheres of business and community service.
Mr. Mohan Prasad was one of the early pioneers of the supermarket industry in Trinidad and Tobago. He introduced the concept of supermarket shopping with trolleys and cash registers as opposed to small counter shops, which was then the norm. He brought quality food at affordable prices to consumers throughout the country. Mr. Prasad has demonstrated a commitment to corporate social responsibility by supporting the work of the Rio Claro Learning and Development Center for Special Children. Through this, he has assisted and touched the lives of many differently abled children. He also supports Autism Trinidad and Tobago through sponsorship.
Lieutenant Colonel A.R. Norris Baden Semper, retired Defense Force officer in the sphere of public service.
Lieutenant Colonel Norris Baden Semper served in the armed forces for over 27 years. First in the West Indian Regiment, 1961-1962, and then in the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. In December 1988, he joined the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago as Chief of Security. He developed the bank's security budget and was the bank's emergency response coordinator. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Baden Semper has been a security management consultant with experience in the business continuity planning. He has assisted several regional commercial banks and other organizations in the areas of security and safety.
Dr. Robert Jeffrey Edwards, lecturer, Director, Medical Research, Foundation of Service and Research, Trinidad and Tobago, in the sphere of medicine.
Dr. Robert Jeffrey Edwards has over 30 years in medicine and played a critical role in the management and care of people living with HIV and AIDS. He has worked to prevent the spread of the virus through education and testing, providing treatment and care through groundbreaking research. Dr. Edwards' advocacy for increased funding and resources for HIV prevention and treatment programs is unparalleled. While he faced challenges such as limited resources and stigma, he has remained dedicated to improving the lives of patients and preventing the spread of the virus.
Ms. Ruth Lindian Bowden-Rich, posthumously, former educator in music in the sphere of culture and the arts. Her niece, Dr. Kathleen Sangster Singh, will accept the award.
Miss Ruth Lindy Ann Bowden-Rich was an exceptional woman, a national icon, a highly regarded professional pianist with a career in music that spanned almost 60 years. She was the epitome of the spirit that sustains national pride. As a renowned musical accompanist, Miss Bowden-Rich contributed to the arts landscape of Trinidad and Tobago as an educator, choir director, mentor, and performing music arts trainer. Over the decades in her life in the arts, Miss Bowden-Rich faithfully lent skill, talent, and resources to the advancement of the artistry and education of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mrs. Sandra Pike Anthony, facilitator in the sphere of community development.
Ms. Sandra Pike Anthony's role in the National Youth Council and as a pioneer in women's development has directly contributed to the national initiatives focused on social equity and youth engagement in Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. Sandra Pike Anthony was Chief Executive Officer, National General Secretary at the YMCA from 1977 to 2005. Establishing her as a model for non-profit leadership in Trinidad and Tobago. Embracing the philosophy of a guide by the side, not a sage on the stage, Ms. Pike Anthony has empowered countless individuals to explore and utilize their strengths, fostering a new generation of community leaders.
The Chaconia Medal, Silver, is today awarded to the following persons. Dr. Andrew Danu, President, Diabetes Association, biochemist, researcher in the spheres of healthcare and volunteerism.
Dr. Andrew Danu has tirelessly dedicated himself to diabetes care and education. He continuously advocates for the prevention of diabetes through early interventions. He has therefore always had a keen interest in providing health education to school-aged children through fun and engaging activities. Dr. Danu, as president of the Diabetes Association, through projects such as the National Diabetes Primary School Quiz, the National Secondary School Diabetes Debate, and the Sixth Form Internship Program, has collectively engaged thousands of children annually in Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Imran Khan, Chairman, KC Confectionery Limited, in the sphere of business.
Mr. Imran Khan is a founder, leader, innovator, visionary, and trailblazer in the field of business and manufacturing. Mr. Khan has contributed tremendously to the advancement, growth, and promotion of the non-energy manufacturing sector, particularly in the food and beverage sector, through innovative, culturally branded, and locally flavored products manufactured by KC Confectionery Limited. Mr. Khan prides himself on giving back to society. He is a philanthropic sponsor of the sports in Couva through the establishment of the KC Kids in Needs Foundation. He has supported students in the San Fernando and Couva communities through the provision of stationery and school supplies and the facilitation of community activities.
Mr. James Anthony Filbert, retired Acting Commissioner of Police in the spheres of national security and public service.
Mr. James Anthony Filbert has 43 years in active policing, including 2 as Acting Commissioner of Police, Trinidad and Tobago. Through multiple challenges, Mr. Filbert paid strong attention to the dedication of transnational organized crimes, the management of illegal weapons and narcotics, human trafficking, and crime scene investigations. During his tenure as a member of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, he successfully completed a Bachelor of Laws degree from the University of London and obtained his legal examination certificate from the Hugh Wooding Law School. Mr. Filbert is a benefactor of the St. Anthony's Roman Catholic Church and engages in numerous charitable activities.
Mrs. Joanne James, retired Assistant Commissioner of Police in the spheres of national security and public service.
Mrs. Joanne James Nee Castaneda has 43 years experience as a law enforcement officer with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, where she served in multiple capacities from frontline police officer, station commander, and court prosecutor in the juvenile court, to head community policing secretariat, senior superintendent, police academy, and executive commander of community policing and assistant commissioner of police. In 2011, Ms. Castaneda was commended by the Honorable John Sandy, Minister of National Security, for her presentation at the Conference for Ministers of National Security of Americas held in Trinidad and Tobago. As a training specialist, she developed curricula and facilitated training for the police service. The sessions focused on the critical component of community-oriented policing.
Miss Linda Hewitt, posthumously, former statistician in the spheres of statistics and community service. Her son, Mr. Brent Hewitt Board, will accept the award.
Miss Linda Hewitt will always be remembered as a true champion of statistics because of her contributions in promoting the development of official statistics. Her contributions include the population of housing census in the region, as well as being lead statistician in the conduct of the 1990 census in Trinidad and Tobago. Mrs. Hewitt served as an elected member of the International Statistical Institute in The Hague. Miss Linda Hewitt's lifelong interest was improving living conditions in communities. She has been instrumental in the organization and functioning of many institutional and community organizations for which she generously volunteered her time, knowledge, and expertise.
Mr. Stephen Williams, retired Acting Commissioner of Police in the spheres of national security and public service.
Mr. Stephen Williams was Commissioner of Police from 2012 to 2020. He served as a police officer for over 35 years and has performed in all ranks from constable to commissioner. He served as a Gold Commander and led the Multinational Security Task Force for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in 2009. Mr. Williams served as First Vice President of the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police and is a member of the International Advisory Committee of the Police Executive Program at the Institute of Criminology, Cambridge University.
The Hummingbird Medal may be awarded for loyal and devoted service in any field of human endeavor or for gallantry or other humane action to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The Hummingbird Medal, Gold, is today awarded to the following persons: Mr. Amjad Ali, Director, Advanced Foam Limited, in the sphere of business.
Mr. Amjad Ali's lifelong commitment to promoting innovation and technology has been instrumental in driving growth and competitiveness within the manufacturing sector of Trinidad and Tobago. A former president of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, Mr. Ali has launched several initiatives such as digitalization, automation, and skills development in order to enhance the industry's competitiveness. Mr. Ali's efforts have helped attract investment, created employment opportunities for the local workforce, and positioned Trinidad and Tobago as a hub for advanced manufacturing.
ladies and gentlemen, we'll just have a slight pause as we assist one of our awardees. Mrs. Arlene Allen Daniel, retired teacher in the spheres of culture, arts, community development.
Mrs. Arlene Elaine Daniel is an ardent advocate of using culture and the arts to instill essential traits of independence, discipline, and leadership in young people. As the founder of the Rhythmic Vibrations Performing Company, Mrs. Arlene Daniel has trained boys and girls from all across Tobago and choreographed and arranged award-winning performances for local competitions including the National Music Festival, the Tobago Heritage Festival, and the Prime Minister's Best Village Trophy Competition. The group has toured and performed in over 20 countries including the USA, China, India, and many Caribbean islands, spreading our nation's heritage worldwide.
Mrs. Beverly Ramsey Moore, President, Pan Trinbago, in the spheres of culture, arts, and community development.
Beverly Ramsey Moore is a community leader, youth mentor, cultural activist, and steel pan trailblazer who has demonstrated her leadership and dedication to service and country throughout her long career. Elected to the Tobago House of Assembly in 1992 as a representative for Blackrock WIM, Ms. Ramsey Moore held the portfolios of Secretary for Community Development and Culture and Assistant Secretary for Youth and Sport. In 2018, Ms. Ramsey Moore made history, becoming the first female president of Pan Trinbago and has continued her trajectory of public service, serving on various boards and committees.
Dr. Elaine Monica Davis Aiton, medical doctor, educator, diplomat, in the spheres of health and community development.
Dr. Elaine Monica Davis Aiton is an accomplished medical doctor and educator whose dedication to public service has been evident throughout her distinguished career. She has been a board member of the Family Planning Association of Trinidad and Tobago since 2015 and is chair of the Medical Advisory Committee. In this role, Dr. Davis Aiton works closely with the executive director and her team to explore creative and effective approaches to improving service delivery.
Dr. Gillian Paul, posthumously, former President Costat, in the sphere of education. Her son, Mr. Reginald Griffith, will accept the award.
Beloved educator, Dr. Gillian Paul had a lifelong passion for educational development and student achievement. Throughout her extensive career, Dr. Paul championed many educational initiatives and served on numerous national committees and boards. Dr. Paul was instrumental in the development of the College of Science, Technology, and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago, COSTAT, and served in many capacities, including as president between 2015 and 2022.
Mr. Glenn D'Souza, culture teacher in the sphere of culture.
Mr. Glenn Dragon D'Souza is the owner and founder of the Kilimanjaro School of Arts and Culture. Mr. D'Souza has trained countless young people in the art of stilt walking and has played a pivotal role in the promoting of the Mokojambi tradition locally and around the world. His stilt walkers have pioneered stilt walking in the international troupes such as the Cirque du Soleil, Universal Circus, and dozens of other troupes on both sides of the Atlantic.
Dr. James Armstrong, artist in the sphere of arts and public service.
Dr. James Armstrong, a Tobagonian artist who began drawing and painting in his preteens, was heavily inspired by his grandmother, Teacher Willie. His early works reflected the daily life and rustic countryside of Tobago and beautifully captured the island's picturesque scenery and folklore. By the early 1960s, Dr. Armstrong developed an interest in social issues, which was reflected in some of his works including Vote, 1962, Scarborough Harbor, 1963, and Cane Farmers, 1964. His 1965 piece, Making Copra, which incorporated Impressionist symbolism and abstraction, was exhibited at Expo 67 in Montreal, Canada.
Mr. Kenwin Critchlow, Chairman of the National Museum and Art Gallery in the sphere of arts.
Mr. Kenwin Critchlow is a renowned artist whose recent works explore color and its function as a visual language. His research interests include the ceramic art of local indigenous communities, art produced during the colonial period, the sugar industrial architecture in Tobago, and the way in which representations continue to shape perceptions of national identity and modernity in Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Critchlow is currently collaborating with Bowling Green State University in Ohio, United States of America, as part of a project to interview artists participating in Trinidad and Tobago.
Dr. Kamdi Basdeo Maharaj, medical doctor, dermatologist in the sphere of dermatology.
Dr. Kamde Basdeo Maharaj is renowned for his seminal research in dermatology, particularly in the area of T-cell research, keloids, hair, and nails. Her clinics in the public health sector have provided much-needed dermatology services to people in communities across the country for many years. Dr. Basdeo Maharaj has consistently demonstrated a deep commitment to community health and development, operating free dermatology clinics in areas such as Rio Claro, Sandy Grande, and St. Helena Village over the years. Dr. Basdeo Maharaj delivers lectures locally and regionally and actively mentors young doctors and other groups through her volunteer work.
Dr. Krishna Kumar Sundarnidhi, medical doctor in the spheres of public health, research, and development.
Dr. Krishna Kumar Sundarnidhi began his medical career as a surgeon, but has since distinguished himself as a prominent public health administrator with an interest in epidemiology. His work, which is recognized nationally and internationally, focuses on public health data and evidence-based research for policy formation. Dr. Sundarnidhi has contributed to several landmark documents, including the Ebola virus disease preparedness and response plan 2014 and the Mortality in Trinidad and Tobago 2013 report, produced in collaboration with UNICEF to guide improvements in the quality of perinatal health for women in Trinidad and Tobago.
Miss Marissa Aguilera, Team Manager, West Indies Under-19, in the sphere of sport, cricket.
Former West Indies and Trinidad and Tobago women's captain, Miss Marissa Aguilera, began playing cricket at age 8 in her rural community of Marak Village, Moruga. In 2002, Ms. Aguilera was selected to represent the Trinidad and Tobago Under-23 team, earning a place on the senior team in 2005. In 2016, Ms. Aguilera was part of the first West Indies women's cricket team to win a World Cup championship and became the first West Indies women's cricketer to be granted honorary life membership to the Marylebone Cricket Club.
Mr. Nevin Stewart, Athletics Development Officer, Trinidad and Tobago Sport, in the sphere of sport, cricket. Mr. Stewart is currently out of the country. His sister, Mrs. Nadine Stewart Phillips, will accept the award on his behalf.
Mr. Nevin Stewart made his regional cricket debut at age 25 at the Stanford 2020 cricket tournament and went on to represent Trinidad and Tobago at several regional and international tournaments. His career highlights include playing in the Champions League 2020 tournament in India in 2009 and for various franchises including the Guyana Amazon Warriors and the Barbados Tridents in the Caribbean Premier League. Recently, Mr. Stewart was selected for the SAMP Army cricket team and competed in several international tournaments in Sri Lanka, India, South Africa, and across various states in the United States.
Dr. Richard Anthony Clark, medical doctor in the spheres of medicine and community service.
Dr. Richard Anthony Clark is considered to be the first palliative physician in Trinidad and Tobago and is a founding member of Living Waters Hospice, the first of its kind in the nation. Until his retirement in April 2024, he cared for patients unable to receive home care, ensuring they died with dignity in a clean, safe, and compassionate environment. His holistic approach addressed physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual needs. Throughout his career, Dr. Clark's work at Living Waters Hospice, Promise House, and New Life Ministries Rehab Center was entirely voluntary.
Dr. Ronnie Bula, Doctor in the sphere of medicine, eye care. Dr. Bula is currently out of the country. His daughter, Miss Amelia Bula, will accept the award on his behalf.
Dr. Ronnie Bula has been instrumental in providing timely interventions for critical eye care, significantly reducing the burden of care for an increasing visually impaired aging population. He funds essential medical consultations, eye tests, scans, and surgical treatments for patients, ensuring that critical eye care remains accessible to those who need it most. Leading a dedicated team, Dr. Bula conducts resident training programs to develop skilled eye care professionals. His initiatives, including the Gift of Sight, Christmas in July, and Sight Savers, have restored the vision, independence, and quality of life of countless patients.
Sister Roberta Oflati, Executive Director, Credo Foundation for Justice, in the spheres of education and community service.
Sister Roberta Oflati has led a life of commitment and dedication to the service of others since arriving in Trinidad and Tobago in 1971. She served as principal of 3 Catholic secondary schools and subsequently spent 13 years working with Serval. She co-founded the Credo Foundation for Justice in 1993 and has since worked full-time to protect children and reduce the number of those who are socially displaced and/or abused. The foundation provides safe havens and developmental and remedial opportunities for children, empowers families, raises awareness of social injustices, and advocates for meaningful change.
Professor Sanjay Garth Bahadur Singh, Professor of Electrical Engineering in the spheres of engineering and education.
Dr. Sanjay Garth Bahadur Singh has led a distinguished career in the field of electrical engineering. He became a UWI professor at age 42 and has produced over 80 scholarly publications and numerous technical reports in the areas of electrical insulation, power system operation, and the integration of renewable energy and electric vehicles. Dr. Bahadur Singh has served the Kira Presbyterian community for over 30 years as a local board manager and is a director and former chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, which formulates policies for the generation of .tt domain names within Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Stanford Callender, former Member of Parliament in the spheres of public and community service.
Community icon and politician Stanford Callender began his activism at an early age, joining youth groups, cultural organizations in his home village of Blackrock, Tobago. A celebrated composer, calypsonian, and stage manager, Mr. Callender has contributed significantly to the creative arts, folk music, literature, and drama. He is a former chair of the Blackrock Village Council and has worked at various levels of government. Mr. Callender has the distinction of serving on the Tobago County Council, the Tobago House of Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Representatives throughout his political career.
Dr. Sulaiman Juman, Senior Lecturer, Air, News and Truth Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of the West Indies, in the spheres of medicine and research.
Renowned ENT surgeon, Dr. Sulaiman Juman, has led a long and distinguished career. He is a past president of the Trinidad and Tobago Medical Association, former head of the Commonwealth Medical Association, and university lecturer. His research on the effects on the hearing of people who play the national instrument led to the implementation of precautionary measures to protect the players. In 2009, in collaboration with Professor Howard Francis of Duke University, Dr. Juman introduced the cochlear implant program in Trinidad and Tobago to address the problem of severe and sensorineural hearing loss.
The Hummingbird Medal Silver is today awarded to the following persons. Miss Cindy Ramnarine, Principal, Bishop's High School, in the sphere of education.
Miss Cindy Ramnarine is a dedicated educator with a career spanning over 3 decades. She began teaching in 1993 at Moruga Composite School and later became a teacher and principal at Bishop's High School, Tobago, where she worked diligently to expand the co-curricular program and improve academic performance. In 2023, Ms. Ramnarine oversaw Tobago's first ever participation in the Secondary Schools National Relay Festival. Ms. Ramnarine is actively involved in the Cadet Force and is an Assistant Secretary of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools.
Mr. Derek Phillip, Director of Planning and Engineering Services at the University of the Southern Caribbean in the sphere of education.
Former national scholar and educator, Mr. Derek Phillip is a registered engineer, licensed wireman, and Pro FM certified facilities manager. Throughout his career, he has significantly contributed to enhancing access to quality education through the creation and maintenance of educational facilities. For the past 19 years, Mr. Phillip has worked in the local higher education sector at the College of Science, Technology, and Applied Arts of Trinidad and Tobago and the University of the Southern Caribbean. He has led facilities management operations at both institutions, striving to create optimal teaching and learning environments for students and faculty.
Mr. Duvaughn Stewart, musician in the spheres of culture and the arts.
Mr. Duvaughn Stewart is not only a talented musician, arranger, and a composer, but also an exceptional educator, mentor, and source of inspiration for at-risk youths. An active member and leader of the BP Renegades Steel Orchestra, his creative arrangements and compositions have secured an impressive 28 titles in various steel pan competitions locally, regionally, and internationally. Beyond music, Mr. Stewart coordinates community food drives and regularly brings together people of various backgrounds to participate in his initiatives.
Major Edward Wade, retired Defense Force officer in the spheres of music and culture.
Major Edward Wade, retired, is a pioneer in the music and cultural landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. He is the first to introduce calypso music into the military as a quick march and as inspection music. He is the first and only person to arrange calypso for the funeral march. Major Wade's music is presently performed for all state and Defense Force funerals. He composed the presidential fanfare, Chaconia, which is played at official functions to mark the arrival and departure of the president. Major Wade's innovations have been adopted by other service bands.
Mr. Philip Fraser, Director, Samoa Jabalti Sports Club. in the spheres of education and sport.
Mr. Philip Fraser served as a dedicated teacher at the Tabakit Composite and Sawa North Secondary Schools. He coordinated all football at El Dorado Secondary School from 1999 to 2018. During his tenure, they won 3 national titles. Mr. Philip has served as chairman of the sport committee at Sawa Jablute and has been a member and director of the Sawa Jablute Sports Club since 1998. Mr. Fraser was on the executive board of the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association from 1999 to 2000 and is the delegated representative of the Sawa Jablute Sports Limited at all general meetings of the Football Association.
Ms. Catherine Nicole McCooney, lecturer, tour guide in the sphere of national service.
Ms. Catherine Nicole McConney is a leader whose unwavering passion and dedication has significantly shaped the tourism industry of Trinidad and Tobago. She is a mentor and a guiding light for aspiring tour operators throughout Trinidad and Tobago. Ms. McConney's efforts in nurturing skilled tour guides, fostering a culture of excellence within the Trinidad and Tobago hospitality and tourism industry, and serving as a passionate advocate for Trinidad and Tobago all contribute to the industry's growth. Her involvement with the National Training Agency, Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards, in developing occupational standards for tour guides stands as a monument to her vision.
Dr. Jennifer Roos, gerontologist and policy analyst in the spheres of national service and social work.
Dr. Jennifer Rouse is a gerontologist and policy analyst. She attended the University of Maryland, where she completed a double major in social work and Africana studies, graduating in 1998. In 2004, Dr. Rouse graduated with her doctorate in public policy in aging issues. From August 2003 to 2018, Dr. Rouse served as Director of the Division of Aging in the Ministry of Social Development. Dr. Rouse presently serves as ex officio advisor to the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Retired Persons, which is the country's largest aging interest group.
Mr. Michael Bradshaw, quality assurance professional and adjunct lecturer in the spheres of youth development and community service.
Mr. Michael Bradshaw is a dedicated and highly motivated Scout leader. In his 55 years of continuous Scouting, he rose from being a member of a Scout patrol to a member of the World Scout Committee. This achievement is yet to be paralleled by any other leader from the Caribbean. Mr. Bradshaw's negotiations with the faith-based organizations such as the Mahasabha and the Muslim League, as well as the introduction of girls in Scouting, has resulted in the almost doubling of the Scout population in Trinidad and Tobago during his tenure.
Mr. Nasser Khan, author, researcher, journalist, editor, producer, in the spheres of education and literacy.
Mr. Nasser Khan was born and bred in Success Village, Laventille, where he spent the first 18 years of his life and still maintains a deep connection with his childhood friends. He has produced a vast body of sponsored works under the umbrella of education and literacy. He comprehensively explored the unique heritage, cultures, arts, sports, agriculture, and history of Trinidad and Tobago. These books were freely distributed to schools, NALIS, UE, UTT, National Archives, and other institutions and individuals. Mr. Khan's books continue to have a far-reaching positive influence in the educational sphere of Trinidad and Tobago.
Ms. Naomi Adonis Woodsley, Vice Principal, Naparima Girls High School, in the sphere of education.
Ms. Naomi Adonis Woodsley is a graduate of San Fernando East Junior Secondary and Pleasantville Senior Comprehensive Schools. In 1989, she was assigned to the Naparima Girls High School, where she assumed the position of Acting Vice Principal in 2023. Ms. Adonis Woodsley's interests saw her serving as a patron of the school's drama club for over 25 years and co-patron of the debating club for over 20 years. Her career highlight was preparing the national debating team that won the CARICOM Secretary General's Regional Debating Competition in 1999. Ms. Adonis Woodsley takes her role in the pastoral care of her students very seriously and continues to engage with past students.
Mr. Roger Boothman, songwriter, tutor, artist, in the spheres of culture and the arts.
Mr. Roger Boothman is a songwriter, a tutor, and artist who has represented Trinidad and Tobago regionally and internationally in his field of songwriting, attracting record producers and industry executives to his genius. In 1993, in 1 year, he had the honor of winning the National Song Festival, the Caribbean Song Festival, and the Commonwealth Song Competition. Between 2003 to 2007, Mr. Boothman was a part of the Open School for the Arts through Ministry of Arts and Culture. Mr. Boothman has contributed as a teacher and tutor to several schools and creative arts centers. His compositions have influenced and assisted in inspiring generations of songwriters.
Mr. Romeo Gunness, Principal, DB Secondary School, in the sphere of education.
Mr. Romeo Gunness entered the teaching profession in 1990 and was awarded a certificate for Outstanding Teacher in 1993. His involvement in all aspects of school life gave him the experience necessary for his appointment as the youngest head of department and youngest vice principal. Mr. Gunness was appointed principal of Daybase Secondary in 2004 and continues to transform the school into a premier learning institution. Mr. Gunness is the author of Mastering CXC English A and facilitates workshops in creative writing and leadership. He continues to offer voluntary assistance to students.
Miss Rhonda Michelle Jones, teacher, primary school, in the spheres of community service and sports.
Miss Rhonda Michelle Jones is a teacher and a national cricket umpire. Through lobbying various sports organizations and private businesses, she was able to obtain sporting equipment to allow her teams to improve their training and to give youths who were unable to purchase the necessary equipment the opportunity to participate in the sports. Some of her notable mentees include players who have represented various teams at national and international levels, including the national team and the West Indies women's cricket team. Ms. Jones continues to create opportunities for the young people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mr. Rondell Fields, businessman and social activist in the sphere of community service.
Mr. Rondell Fields is a distinguished businessman and social activist in Trinidad and Tobago, recognized for his unwavering commitment to community development, social justice, and advocacy for vulnerable groups. Mr. Fields is the founder and president of the Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. In 2014, Mr. Fields served on the Child Protection Task Force, which was instrumental in the rollout of the Children's Authority and Child Protection Unit. Under his leadership, TFATT has spent the last 12 years raising awareness, advocating for legislative reforms, and providing comprehensive support to families, making a significant impact on communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago.
Mrs. Zina Ramatali, First Vice President of the National Parent Teachers Association in the sphere of education.
Mrs. Zina Ramatali began her outstanding service in education and by extension her career at the La Hokita South Government Primary Schools Parent Teachers Association in 1983. She held the positions of treasurer and then president of the National Parent Teachers Association for many years. As president of the NPTA, Mrs. Ramatali organized several workshops discussing areas of health and family life, HIV/AIDS awareness, and a national environment competition for schools in 2006. Mrs. Ramatali also represented the NPA at regional conferences in Martinique, Colombia, and Jamaica during her tenure.
The Public Service Medal of Merit may be awarded for outstanding and meritorious service to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The Public Service Medal of Merit Gold is today awarded to the following persons: Mrs. Jacqueline Sampson Miguel, Ombudsman, in the sphere of public service governance.
Mrs. Jacqueline Sampson Miguel stood at the helm of the Office of the Parliament as its accounting officer and head of department. As the clerk of the House, she was responsible for providing advice to members of Parliament on parliamentary practices and procedure. Mrs. Sampson Miguel has been the longest-serving substantive holder of the position of clerk of the House in the nation's history. She has overseen the election of a President of the Republic on 6 occasions, stood next to 4 Prime Ministers as they took their oath of office, and has served under 6 Speakers. Mrs. Sampson Miguel now serves as Ombudsman.
Dr. Janet Stanley Marcano, retired public officer in the sphere of education.
Dr. Janet Stanley McConnell has had a career spanning over 4 decades. She has left an indelible mark on the nation through her unwavering dedication to education, community development, and public service, being served as Chief Education Officer. Dr. Stanley McConnell was responsible for pioneering the national policy on early childhood care and education, ensuring that every child in Trinidad and Tobago has access to high-quality early childhood care and education, setting them on a path to lifelong learning and success.
Ms. Nadira Maraj, Manager, Laboratory Services in the sphere of healthcare, medical laboratory services.
Ms. Nadira Maharaj is a prolific medical technologist whose contributions in the sphere of laboratory and hospital administration services has left a trail of successful modernization projects. Her recent accomplishment has been leading the Department of Pathology at the Port of Spain General Hospital to accreditation. Ms. Maraj's innovative spirit led to the introduction of a 24/7 point-of-care testing service at the Point Fortin Hospital, enhancing accessibility and efficiency in diagnostics. Additionally, her establishment of the Immunology Department and the Laboratory Information System within the Southwest Regional Health Authority has streamlined operations and improved patient care.
Mrs. Nariman Hussein Ahmad, posthumously, former Chief Personnel Officer in the sphere of public service. Her son, Mr. Hassan Ahmad, will accept the award.
Mrs. Nariman Hussein Ahmad dedicated 38 years to the Trinidad and Tobago Civil Service, particularly in the condition of Service Division in the Personnel Department, which was later renamed the Human Resource Department, Benefits Management Division. She became the Chief Personnel Officer in 2006 until her retirement in April 2010. During her tenure, she oversaw many negotiations for both monthly and daily paid workers. Ms. Hussain Ahmad recognized that every human being is valuable and should be valued, which led her to dedicate her life to the nonprofit organization Lifeline.
Mr. Raj Badal, retired public officer in the sphere of public service.
Mr. Raj Badal worked at the Ministry of Works and Transport as a civil engineer from 1984, where he was responsible for highway design, construction, and maintenance. He moved on to the Ministry of Local Government from 1998 to 2001 and was the head of project implementation. Mr. Badal returned to the Ministry of Works and Transport in 2001, where he held the positions of Civil Engineer 2, Chief Planning Engineer, and Project Manager. Now retired, Mr. Badal serves the community as a pastor, and his church provides assistance to those in need.
Mr. Shahid Alaham, retired school principal in the sphere of education and community service.
Mr. Shahid Alaham spent his career as a teacher to 2023 when he retired as principal of Cedar Grove Private School. As a teacher of the essay class at San Fernando TML School, his students secured first, second, and third places. He has a national record of 26 students out of 68 placing in the top 200 places in 2015. Mr. Alaham trained national winners in mental health, Red Cross, spelling bee, and various quiz competitions. As a community leader, he founded the Everglades Sports Club in 1978 and was the chairman of self-help projects in Kumutu and Kunjal areas.
Mrs. Sonia Mahesh Prasad, Principal, Lakshmi Girls Hindu College, in the spheres of education, nation building, and community service.
Mrs. Sonia Mahesh Prasad assumed principalship at Lakshmi Girls College in 2010. Mrs. Mahesh Prasad, as a principal, exemplified a visionary leadership and was able to inspire her staff, students, and parents to take risks with the changes in societal demands and expectations. She was able to move the school to being in the top 3 secondary schools. In 2012, she initiated a partnership and students exchange between Lakshmi Girls College and the Jean Paul Academy in Glasgow, Scotland. These exchanges fostered cultural understanding, promoted educational collaboration, and provided students and teachers with enriching experiences.
The Public Service Medal of Merit, Silver, is today awarded to the following person: Mr. Fitzgerald MacArthur Jeffrey, posthumously, former High Commissioner in the sphere of national service. His daughter, Dr. Tahila Jeffrey, will accept the award.
Mr. Fitzgerald MacArthur Jeffrey stood out as a man of unparalleled passion and drive, who held several roles in the service of Trinidad and Tobago. As a High Commissioner, he strengthened ties between Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. In the banking sector, he was the first dark-skinned male at Barclays Bank, now Republic Bank, in Point Fortin. This promoted racial integration and inspired future generations. He established evening classes and UE continuing classes in Point Fortin, enhancing educational opportunities for underprivileged students. And as a Member of Parliament for Labre, he advocated for community needs, securing jobs, and contributing to policy development in science, technology, and tertiary education.
The Medal for the Development of Women may be awarded for outstanding contribution to the development of women's rights and issues in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. The Medal for the Development of Women, Gold, is today awarded to Mrs. Rowena Martineau Pitt, Director of Tabitha's Home for Women and Children, in the sphere of development of women.
Ms. Rowena Martineau Pitt is the founder and director of Tabitha's Home for Women and Children, a faith-based non-profit organization situated in Mount Pleasant, Tobago. Tabitha's Home's mission is to restore, empower, and transform the lives of women and children who have been violated through any form of abuse and/or exploitation. This mission is carried out through the provision of transitional housing in the form of self-contained housing units where women can rebuild their lives. Emotional, economic, educational, and social empowerment training and spiritual support are also provided. Tabitha's Home has been in operation for over 5 years.
The Medal for the Development of Women, Bronze, is today awarded to Ms. Giselle Granger, farmer, in the sphere of development of women in agriculture.
Ms. Giselle Granger grew up in St. Mary's Village, Moruga, where her family has maintained several acres of land under cultivation for generations. She is one of the principal drivers behind our family farm at Pui Trace. The farm has been in operation for several decades, but over the last 15 years, it has evolved from a family agricultural pursuit to an internationally recognized organic farm enterprise. That business model gained traction and has since expanded to include international visitors. During the peak season, several of these visitors are accommodated at nearby homes and they assist in the practical operations of the farm.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 persons to whom awards were made this year, but are unavoidably absent. They are the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has also been awarded to Mr. Sidney Russell Martineau, Senior Counsel in the sphere of law. The Chaconia Medal Silver has been awarded to Mr. Nazir Khan, retired public officer in the sphere of business. And finally, the Public Service Medal of Merit Gold has been awarded to Ms. Stephanie Lewis, a former Chief Personnel Officer in the sphere of public service. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's investiture. I thank you.
Thank you very much to Major Harris. Heartiest congratulations as well to all recipients, and I think our Form 6s did a fantabulous job. Could you all give them a round of applause? Excellent job. Now, before we end our ceremony today, I've been asked to say a few words about the groups providing entertainment this evening. During the reception following the ceremony, you will hear the sweet sounds of Palo Seco Secondary School Steel Orchestra. Part of the outreach to the nation's young people involves monthly visits by their excellencies to schools across the nation. When they visited Palo Seco, Her Excellency was so impressed with the school's steel orchestra, she immediately invited them to participate in tonight's reception. Welcoming you to the President's House earlier this afternoon were the Chinese Art and Culture Studies Society, the Fatima College Drummers, who were the championship winners at this year's music festival, to which Her Excellency is patron, and the NGC Trinidad and Tobago Sweet Tassa, which you will again enjoy shortly. I now invite you to stand for the departure of Her Excellency, the President, and the First Gentleman. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley and Mrs. Rowley. The Honorable Mr. Justice Ivor Archie and Mrs. Rodriguez Archie. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome the NGC Trinidad and Tobago Sweet Tassa.
And there you have it. All 65 of the recipients, even those who are receiving posthumously or those who could not physically be present tonight, honored at the 55th Annual National Awards Ceremony. Now, this evening, you would have noted that a number of persons in the sphere of education have been awarded. Currently sitting as principals or retired teachers, quite a few persons who make impressions on our youth have been awarded across the categories here tonight. And it is therefore no surprise that the Ministry of Education was instrumental in tonight's happening, with students of Upper 6 from various schools across Trinidad and Tobago reading the bios of our recipients this evening. Now, I was privy to some of their prep work earlier today, many of whom were told to revisit their bios multiple times before the actual execution. So it is no surprise that they were immaculate in their delivery. I will be joined by two of those students tonight as we get ready to wrap things up. I thought it's important to get their insight, so let me say goodnight and welcome to Mr. Raylan Taylor, who is of Upper 6 in the Signal Hill Secondary School. Is that correct? I'm making sure I get it right. And my friend Sajana Bagwat of St. Stephen's College in Princestown. Nice. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Taylor, and like how we balanced this out with the gentleman in the middle, because tonight was truly an experience that you will not soon forget. Tell me a little bit about the preparation towards this end, or at least from the start of being selected to be a part of tonight. And I need you to hold that mic closer. We are hearing that Tassa in the background as the Excellencies and others are getting ready to have some photo ops. So yes, tell me about being selected.
So upon first hearing the news from my principal, I was kind of nervous and excited at the same time because I never did public speaking before. And, you know, the ceremony was kind of a big deal. So I was nervous, but in terms of preparation, being from Tobago, it had taken a lot of time to travel back and front. So for the dress rehearsal, I actually missed the dress rehearsal, but I was there for the first briefing, which was one session. It was short, but it was nice, it was chill. I got to know each other a little bit. We practiced a little bit with just some practice speeches, but it was good. Yeah, that's it.
And do you think that because you've been a part of this, that you're going to pay attention to perhaps national awards moving forward?
I definitely will. Definitely
we'll
will.
see as a recipient, maybe. Okay.
Most likely.
So then, what was your experience? Because while you were here physically, I imagine there was still some prep to do as well.
Yes, there was. So we had a few meetings before we had our first briefing, and this Sunday we had our dress rehearsal.
Right.
That went really well. Each and every one of us got to read the biographies that we would potentially read today, and it was really a good experience because you got to see beforehand what these people were actually collecting their awards for. It was inspiring tonight to read these biographies because it made me feel to do more, right? It gave me the push that one day, hopefully, that maybe one day I might be one of those.
I like that energy. I quite do. And I'm sure that both of you would have noticed that there were many persons who are either currently teachers or retired teachers, principals as well, who would have received awards in various spheres. Did those stand out to you in any particular way, or anybody else for that matter, to add to that inspiration perhaps at all?
Yes, it did. It stood out to me. A few of them I know somewhat personally from my village, or that I know about, especially Miss Granger. She is from my village, St. Mary's Village, Murga. And it was really, really inspiring to know someone from my community, a countryside community, could work their way up to inspire others and to collect something as awarding as this.
Of course. And what are your thoughts in terms of the recipients as well? Anybody, perhaps teachers or otherwise, that impressed you as well?
Most of the awardees that I had read were from Tobago, so that stood out to me as in that I can do it also. And even my past principal at the previous school I was, Miss Cindy Ramnarine, she received an award. So coming from her school, that was also really inspiring to me.
All right, so hopefully that inspiration translates across Trinidad and Tobago as we continue to celebrate Republic Night with quite the auspicious occasion. Thank you very much to my two students for joining me, as they would have left an indelible mark on everyone here, giving us the insight and bios on some of our awardees. But for now, thank you very much for joining us here live at the President's House for the 55th Annual National Awards, and making sure that you continue to be inspired. So who knows, perhaps you will be part of the next.